Well, hello there. Tom Green coming back at you with some XD goodness. And today's goodness is learning how to apply the new animated strokes feature of XD to a graph. I have to admit, animated graphs are rather nifty. When the line grows, the user can get a pretty good idea of value over time. Animated strokes make this a pretty slick technique. But again, there are some things you need to know before you merrily embark upon creating animated graphs. To start, this graph was created with the pen tool, and the curves were created by selecting the anchor points and playing with the handles. So let's get started. As you know, an animated stroke is set by manipulating the stroke's dash and gap values. If you are working with this sort of irregular shape or line, there is a pretty interesting gotcha you need to know about. Now, what I've done here, just to show you the gotcha, is given this dashed line a 5-pixel dash and a 5-pixel gap. For this technique to work, you're going to have to work with a pretty massive gap value, or you're going to wind up with one very weird animation. Now, what happens here is you need to start with the dash at the 0 point of the graph. And we're going to start with this little piece right here. This will be the start. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select the gap values, and by holding down the shift and up arrows, pay attention to what happens to the line as I do this. So here we go. And you notice we got things skipping all over the place. And you got to make sure that you wind up with all the lines off, or you're going to wind up with an animation that looks like this. And you can see that to start, I have a gap value of 915. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually convert this to a component so we have a start point. So we'll just select the graph group and we'll make it a component. It'll be the default state, and we'll just add a hover state in here. So our default state is this, and what we need to do is have this line follow that path. So we're going to select the hover state. And again, it's the dash that does the effect. So I hold down the shift and up arrow, and you can see this is actually how this thing is going to look. And you can see that the dash value and the gap value are somewhat equal now. So if I change the dash value to 915, well, I have basically created my graph. So now I can swing over to prototype mode. And I'm just going to zoom out a little bit here. And I'm going to select my component. And we'll auto-animate to the hover. Oops. We'll start with the default state, and we'll animate over to the hover state. And we'll do this again over, we'll do this over 5 seconds. Just so you can see the effect. Okay, so let's see what we got here. So there you have it, applying stroke animations to charts or any other irregular stroke you may choose to use. Just keep in mind a small dash value and a large gap value are the start of the animation, and a rather large dash value at the end animates the stroke.